Hello, I'm going to do a playthrough of Dread Trials, which is a new game that recently came out, and it's by Hip Bear Studio, as you can tell on the screen. And yes, Hip Bear Studio is the developer that also did Internal Lore and Internal Dread series, which I also covered. A century of war between two great kingdoms had bled the lands dry of men. Conscripted to fight, they have all but perished on the battlefield. Now, with no one left to defend their homes, the women must take up arms and carry on the fight. And I'm going to play this in 1440p since I have a 1440p display, which is the Asus ROG monitor I'm using. And there's the title screen. Yeah, this one does seem like animated in 2D instead of being 3D like the Internal Dread games, which is pretty reminiscent of, I think, Internal Lore. Although, it does kind of look a bit similar to Eternal Dread 3. Just like ED3, you have the difficulty levels. So casual, which is where enemies are weaker and they appear less frequently. Special enemies. Normal is pretty much the same as ED3 and ED2. And this is hard difficulty, which I believe is harder. And I believe this replaced the Dreadful difficulty where Dreadful had the level scaling. It's designed for players familiar with action RPGs. Combat offers a greater challenge than normal difficulty. And just like ED3, we have Death Sentence, which are for players that crave a challenge. The enemies are stronger and they deal much higher damage. But yeah, just like ED3, I will be playing on normal difficulty. And there's the options menu, which is pretty identical to what we saw in ED3. So yeah, this game is pretty much 83, but there are going to be some differences once we get to the gameplay. And one new difference is that you can toggle between PlayStation and Xbox instead of just Xbox. And I think I might turn on the V-Sync. Or not. I think it's going to be capped at 60 frames per second, so I don't think screen tearing is going to be a problem. But yeah, you can go between unlimited, 30, 60, or 120, or unlimited. In this case, I'm going to be playing on 60. And the load game is pretty similar. Yeah, that's my save file there. So we're going to play a new game. Long ago, a bitter war was ignited between the great kings of Symphonia and Albatross, a conflict that raged over a century. A century, which I believe is 100 years. And we see the guns, the flamethrower, some drones, as well as Symphonia. I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. Symphonia. Where they have swords and magic. Yeah, basically fantasy versus sci-fi. Vassals and petty lords were drawn into the fray. Their levies conscripted and slaughtered until entire bloodlines vanished into dust. When men became scarce, women took up arms, wielding steel in a war without end. Though the battles have waned, the echoes of war still linger. Skirmishes flare in the shadows, and the once mighty realms now rot from within. Their vassals, their allies, all suffer under famine, treachery, and despair. Thus begins a new dark age, where bandits rule the roads and outlaws thrive in the ruins of forgotten glories. Yeah, bandits. I believe they're gonna be the main antagonist there, but Albatross, yeah, that's gonna become important a bit later in the game. And yeah, it's pretty like Eternal Dread, where you have the women. Yeah, like where you have the most characters are female. And see, we start the game tied up. Yep. That character is Elise, which is with an S. Yeah, that name Elise would seem familiar if you had played or watched my Den Apple 2 Let's Play. Who is spelled with E-L-I-Z-E. Elise is spelled with E-L-I-S-E in this game. So we got the first cutscene. And yes, we're tied up. Did you make sure to tie that girl up properly? All done. Even a rude knight wouldn't wiggle free from that. That's why we can't afford to take chances. We put in too much effort capturing her. If she gets loose, we're as good as dead. So what's next, boss? We hand her over to Albatross? But the bounty's fat. We could live like kings for a good while. Albatross. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, they will become pretty apparent. Yeah, like once we progress later. Alright, that's the plan. Best not waste time. Let's get in touch with them. And yes, we struggle. Yep, that's Elise. Too tight. Can't break free. Damn it. I refuse to fall into Albatross hands. Serah. Yo, looks like you're in a tight spot. Be a helping hand? Faster. Sigh. Okay, one notable difference is that the portraits are animated, whereas they were not in ED3. And yes, the bus graphics I think were also used in E3. Helpless as ever, captured by bandits and too weak to break free. Maybe I should demo you a sheep. Save the lecture for later, please. Just get me out of here. Get out? Oh no, we're not wasting this chance. We're wiping out their nest. You in for some payback? Of course, I won't mess up this time. Not with you here. No way we can lose. Alright, so we get the gameplay. So the more difference is that the sprint bar is now on the right side of Elise instead of So just like Eternal Dread, the controls are pretty similar. You use WASD to move, left click to attack, right click to block, and you can do a dash. And I think in this game you can also do a attack like this. Now there is one difference here, like you can aim the bow by pressing the R key, But one difference here. Now, when I fire a spell, like, just see right here, Eliza's facing the camera. See what happens when I press 2 to fire the spell. And you can see Eliza fired it towards the camera. Yeah, whereas in Internal Dread Free and Eternal Lore, though the character would fire their spell, like, based on what they're looking at. And when you press Enter or C, we have this menu. This one is pretty improvement. As in contrast to, Eternal Dread, where, like, the game, it didn't pause at all. This means, like, the inventory now pauses. And yeah, that's our usables, materials, which are arrows, the quest items, our equipment, and runes. And yes, runes are new mechanic in this. So, like, that's the blasting bolt. See, we have a fire rune. And Sagnants are pretty similar to the Eternal Dread Free, and we can have 8. And the skill tree is also very different too. So, like, instead of having classes, you now have, like, a skill tree. And I believe the skill tree is pretty reminiscent of Eternal Dread 1, where you had, like, 3 different core classes, which are magic, physical, warrior, I think fighter, and ranger. And yeah, surrender is pretty similar to that E3 where you just let yourself be tied up. And the status screen. Obviously we have 1 health regen. There's an elemental and criminal defense. We have critical and evasion. I don't know if evasion ever does anything in this game, as far as I do know. And the option is pretty dense, like we saw earlier. Oh yeah, the menu also moves around the house. So yeah, the bash is your physical attack, which you bash the enemy with great by knocking it down. The focus rush, you just go forward, and that one is your basic magic spell. And yes, you can have 8 skills, just like Eternal Dread Free. Alright, so let's get back to the game. And yes, we gotta jump. Two bandits. The prisoner's escaping. I knew I shouldn't have trusted you. Wait, boss, I tied her up right. Look, she's got to rescue her. Then grab them both. Move. And also I believe the game displays the items on the left. I think rather than just showing it on the top like in Dread. How does it feel to be the one tied up now? Can't decide what to do with you back in town. Should we tie you to a stake or maybe in a nice public pillory? Don't get ahead of yourself. The mission's not over. Get careless and you end up captured again. Yeah, that advice. Also, one interesting change is that on the skill bar you can see on the bottom, it displays the mana cost, which Eternal Dread Free did not do. And yeah, something that is also an interesting difference of this game is that this game does seem to have more bondage. Yeah, kind of like as if Griever wanted to put more emphasis on DAD compared to Internal Dread. But yeah, at glance, it does otherwise kind of play similar to Internal Dread 3. Yeah, so that's all the materials. And yes, the materials, which once we get to Symphonia... Oh, what's this? Oh, yeah, once we get Symphonia, there will be, or spoiler alert, a crafting system. Storm their lair, seize the humans, make them slaves. That's Shogun. And yes, camping RPG, without monsters. We have a Rude Knight. Please, take her and let me go. Silence, you landlords are no bargain here. You all come with us. The Rude Knight too. So they're being waylaid by the Shahagins. Too bad for them. First hunted by humans, now preyed to monsters. And now it's happening more and more often. What's the plan, Master? If you hear the Shahagin shouldn't be a problem. Now hold on. Never underestimate your foe. Take your gear, then we strike. What the hell are you doing? Fire rune against Shahagins? That's barely effective. You should be using lightning rune, girl. Crap, I don't have one on me. Fine. Your preparation is like it. Here, take mine. So that's the storm rune. Rune Knights can freely change their rune to customize their attributes and enhance skills. To do so, open the main menu and select runes. Choose lightning bolts, blasting bolt, and switch the rune from fire to lightning. There. Now the shotguns will feel the full fury of lightning. That's what they're weakest to. Use this advantage well. I'll show ya. And yes, just like a Internal Dread 3, there is elemental weapons. Like, it means our attack would now do fire. We now have fire damage. Yeah, we want electric for that. Looks like that's the last of it. Good job, Elise. How about these bands, Master? We're taking it all justice, of course. Alright, I'm locking these outlaws up. Go take a rest and don't forget to drop by the guild tomorrow. Alright, so we get the first town. If you press M, you can open up, you can expand the map or hide it. Now that one is going to be interesting. So this, although I don't think we could use it right now. We have to talk to Elaine. Sis, you're back. I heard you got captured. I was so worried. Celeste, too. She just left. This boy is Elaine, my little brother, my only family left. The 100 Years' War has depleted the land of men. What few remain are sent to rear-line duties. Yet, Elaine insists on becoming a skilled Rude Knight, just like our father. I wanted to go rescue, but Serah forbade me. Said she'd move faster without me. Your goodwill is enough, Elaine. Besides, those bands were nothing I couldn't handle. Of course, you're just like Dad. I bet every mission is a piece of cake for you. Well, the last one did have me tied up literally. Alright, it's late. Off to bed, little boy. And yeah, we have to go to bed. I don't think the game does let us interact. Now, this is the workbench. So, like, Internal Dread 3 and 2, we can craft items. And a new menu is the refined weapon. So, like, we can choose the weapon. Now, I believe in this version of the game, we can use equipped items. But initially, you couldn't. So yeah, you can refine and upgrade items to tiers. So right now we have a level 1 sword. And I kind of believe that the refined system, it replaces the purges and upgrade system of previous games. And it does cost like some money, which is the Z. You see the Z here? Yeah, we need iron. And iron we can get by mining. So, yeah, we can also transfer enchantments, but there's a bit of a difference. So right now we don't have any enchantments. But enchantment transfers one item, but it will destroy the item. And unlike in Turn Dread Free, I believe you do need to spend money to transfer your enchantments. Enchantment Override costs 1,000. I believe it transfers all enchantments from the previous item to the new item, but it will also destroy the item. And that's a shop, so we can buy arrows, some basic weapons, which I believe we can also get from enemy drops. And there's the rope scroll, which returns you past to your last save point. And that's the potion in Effort Shop. So yeah, potions restore 500, although once we level up, the basic potion will, of course, no longer be as much useful. That's the Falling Agent, cures Frozen, that cures Poison, and that cures every status. And yes, you see we have ammo there. There's also an air shop. I don't think we can interact with there till we go to bed. Nope. Oh wait, can we? Go to a shop. Yeah, the same shop, but we have the potions. So my potion increases your physical attack, which is 2,000. The shield potion reduces incoming damage. Swift increases your evasion. Magic increases your magical attack, and mirror, which I believe what it does is applies the damage to the enemy that hits you. And this is where we could buy runes. So right now we have Ember and Storm, so we have the Frost rune. Earth, so Frost is ice and increases enemies. Earth is earth and inflicts stun. Sacred is light and inflicts blind. Abyss is dark and inflicts defense down. Water, Tide is water and inflicts silence. And poison, venom is poison and inflicts the poison status. And Gale is wind and has a chance to inflict attack down. Looking for a nice one? We got the thing for you. So, just like this, we could forge equipment. So yeah, if you played the previous games, this one is pretty similar. So, like to get the heavy armor, we need the pelt, mate, and the rag. So not interact with this, but nope. I think we have to go to bed before we can interact with it. Oh yeah, this one is unique to this one. So we can change our costumes, as well as our headgears, like our ribbons. Pirates. So here we have renegades. Purchased from a shop. Amazoness. Albatross soldiers. Yeah, that is a spoiler. Alright. Begin day 1. We have now 3 areas open to us. And activate waypoint. Select your destination. So yeah, just like in 203, we have, which I believe are 18 locations. So we currently only have the town of Symphonia. Oh yeah, I think this music is, I believe, is the music that we heard in Black Knight Millennia, which I also did cover in this channel. And that's the save point. So yeah, the south and the west entrances, I believe these are like contain higher level enemies, and yes, you can actually head there pretty early as well. But I believe later on the game would want us to go north. Oh yeah, I'm going to end this video, and this is the save point. Just press E to save, and I'm going to choose the second save slot. Oh yeah, it may look like it's June 5th, but it's actually the day, month, and year. Okay. Let's see if I can see it. Okay. It doesn't. But yeah, in 921, I believe it only shows like 0, like 1:1 instead of yeah, 10:1, and I believe the hours are 24. So like in my case, it's 12:50 a.m. So it says 0:50. Yeah, of course, I believe they're from Bai or Thai. I think it's Thailand. Is how it's pronounced. But anyway, I'll see you next time in Let's Play Dread Trial.